This is a Countdown Bulletin podcast. I'm Keith Olbermann. The President of the United States is celebrating the murder of Rob Reiner and his wife. Celebrating. It is at first impossible to believe that what follows is not satire. Then it becomes heartbreaking that what follows is not satire. Then it becomes infuriating that what follows is not satire. And finally, it becomes more evidence still that every minute this man is permitted to remain president, the rest of us in this world are in mortal danger. Because if he is capable of believing this expression of his own Messiah complex, this belief that he controls or influences who lives and who dies, or who succeeds or who fails, merely based on how much they adore him, he can believe anything, and thus he can do anything, including destroy the world. I quote from Trump on Truth Social. A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump Derangement Syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace. This is madness. Rob and Michelle Reiner, prosecutors will soon allege, were murdered in their home horribly by their own son, a child who has been in the emotional wilderness since he was a boy, exactly as Trump has. But Trump really believes that Rob Reiner, quote, passed away due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with Trump Derangement Syndrome, unquote. As someone who knew Rob Reiner, who used to get phone calls of support from Rob Reiner, and sometimes just calls asking if I could help him process what was happening to this country, as someone who knew Rob's father, Carl, my fury at Trump making everything in the world about him first is boundless. And also, sir, the imaginary disease you refer to actually has a real-life counterpart called Trump is deranged syndrome. To be that sick, that soulless, that self-obsessed, that messianic, every word I have spoken in 10 years of pointing to Trump's insanity and Trump's evil has evidently been insufficient. Whatever they total to, Donald Trump is twice as sick and twice as evil as I have said. But in the larger picture, it is important to remember that this is not just Trump trying desperately, sickly, to get somebody, to get anybody to like him and to believe in his drowning presidency and his endlessly incompetent administration. Endlessly incompetent, as we have now seen play out twice in just one other murder case that has shocked the nation at the moment, the shootings at Brown University. Trump's ability to make anything and everything about him, his need to be, as the old dark joke goes, the bride at every wedding and the corpse at every funeral, that is not some kind of act. That is not some kind of campaign. This is not about the midterms. You will recall his reaction on local television in New York as the towers were falling on 9/11, that it made him the owner of the second tallest building in downtown Manhattan, not just the third. The psychologists and psychiatrists call this shallow affect. And shallow affect means, in essence, that you do not know how actual normal human beings interact, nor what causes the events in their lives. You cannot conceive of their lives. You look at a picture of the world and you see only yourself. You look in a mirror and you correctly see yourself, but you are firmly convinced to your core that when others look in their mirrors, they also see only you. There is no telling where this began in this diseased monster, Donald Trump. But the first true public realization that it had overtaken him, that it was the driving force of his life, came 13 years ago on the old Twitter. Quote, Derek Jeter had a great career until 3 days ago, Trump tweeted on October 15th, 2012, after the star New York Yankees baseball player shattered his ankle during a game. Quote, when he sold his apartment at Trump World Tower, I told him not to sell. Karma? The answer this chain letter or many ankles will be broken delusion was not an act then. It is not an act now. It is not some sort of twisted advertisement for a Trump apartment building or a Trump administration. This is what he believes the world is. Side with Trump and mystically you will succeed. Break with Trump, criticize Trump, not worship Trump, not do what Trump tells you to do, and the universe will harm you. 5 days after Trump's tweet about Derek Jeter, he tweeted about him again. This time, quote, Derek Jeter broke ankle 1 day after he sold his apartment in Trump World Tower. There were then, there are now, no connections between Derek Jeter's real estate decisions and the ankle that sidelined him, only briefly as it proved. Just as today, in this far more grotesque, far more mentally ill, far more tragic post about Rob Reiner's tragedy, there are no connections between Rob and Michelle's murders and Donald effing Trump. We do have a prominent public figure suffering from a massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession and obvious paranoia. And that public figure is Donald Trump, and his emotional and psychological incapacity for the presidency or any public role in this country is so obvious and so overwhelming that every further minute he is permitted by his enablers to stay in that job, he risks the life of every living thing on this planet. Eventually, he and those enablers will wind up in hell. I pity them. But right now, a man this sick, this evil, this disconnected from reality will physically do to us, if he feels he must, what he has just metaphorically done to the late Rob Reiner. He has celebrated his own claim that he helped cause this man's death. We are next. This has been a Countdown Bulletin podcast. I'm Keith Olbermann.